Hello and welcome to Standard 8, Program Effectiveness. We're going to spend a little bit more time on this standard because it has a lot of important information and is a new way of organizing some of the old standards and including some new ones as well. So the purpose of looking at program effectiveness is that the United States Department of Education actually charges accrediting agencies with assessing schools based on success in achieving their stated objectives and continual efforts to improve. That's part of our recognition criteria. So Standard 8 helps the Commission evaluate how well schools and programs are doing this, achieving your stated objectives and making continual efforts to improve. So there are 5 components to program effectiveness. Now, data analysis is obviously an important part of them. So the first 3 sections include what must be analyzed. So part of this is the evaluation of your programmatic objectives that we've already mentioned. Having a program advisory committee feedback and looking at student outcomes. This data analysis then leads to program and curriculum review and/or revision. So let's take a look at these. First of all, we'll go in order here. Section A is evaluating programmatic objectives. The standard states that the program has methods in place to measure its success in meeting its educational objectives. So each program had educational objectives established in Standard 2. And they should be stated in measurable terms so that on a regular basis you're reviewing your programs to ensure that you are meeting whatever objectives you have established. And it's up to you to determine how that's done. There isn't anything specific requirements or directives from the Commission, but the school should have something in place that makes sense for how it's meeting its objectives. Now, if you're finding that you're not, what can be revised? What can be improved? Going through this honest assessment shows the Commission that the institution is striving for continual improvement, no matter what's going on. Does something in the program and curriculum need to change? Are the objectives accurate? Do they really meet the needs? These are important questions to be asking. Section B of this standard now sets more specific criteria for a program advisory committee. So these details should also be noted. The first of which is that a program advisory committee, the purpose is to get outside objective feedback. So diverse representation is very important. This means that there should be at least 5 members, and 40% of these people should not be affiliated with the school. That means not staff, faculty, students, or graduates of the school, but people that are not affiliated that can really give you a good outside perspective. The Commission also requires that you hold a minimum of 1 synchronous meeting a year, and then any additional interactions on top of that. Now, the term synchronous was used to mean you're all meeting at one time. Because some of you may want to find diverse representation or unaffiliated members that may not be in your area, it's not requiring an in-person meeting. You can use technology, Skype, conference calls, GoToMeetings, and the like, as long as everyone is getting together at one time to discuss some things. And then email chains and phone calls to 1 or a few members can happen outside of that. So a minimum of 1 meeting a year. And then you should be maintaining documentation of these meetings, as well as evidence that you're considering the feedback so that the information that comes in the meetings is going somewhere. Student outcomes. This is replacing the old CPL charts, but it is still there, it is still important. So there's 3 parts that we're now going to be looking at: placement, completion, and instead of licensure rates, we're now going to look at licensure exam pass rates. So every program must have a process in place to monitor each of these outcomes. And then your outcomes must be reported to COMTA in your annual report each year. The rates must meet the current benchmarks. Since licensure exam pass rates is new, we don't have a set benchmark yet. Completion and placements have been at 65%, but that's at the time of this recording, but you will want to check the guidelines that are online to stay current with what those are. Verifiable records must be kept by the program to verify these rates. And as mentioned, the Commission has established a new student outcomes tracking policy, which is available online and includes a lot of details and great information and assistance in tracking your outcomes and understanding who must be reported and how the reporting is now going to be done. Section D looks, and E, go together really. And Section D requires analysis of the data. It says that programs have a process for collecting and analyzing the data about the quality and effectiveness of the educational programs and curriculum content. This data must include your student outcomes, student evaluations and any complaints, feedback from graduates, employer feedback, faculty feedback, feedback from your program advisory committee, as well as any industry trends. This would include anything going on in the national organizations, state licensing laws, accreditation standards, and the like. So all of these then are used to review and revise your program. So Section E is program curriculum review and revision. So you've collected all of the data, you've analyzed the data, now what do you do with it? So there should be a process in place to formally consider the results of everything that you've been doing. Curriculum should be regularly reviewed and revised as necessary. Now this is defined by the school, so you may determine what regular means, but it should be a planned procedure. You may have informal ways to review curriculum on an as-needed basis, but there should be, each year or every term or every other year, there should be a way to formally review the curriculum. And I want you to note that revision is not required for the sake of revision, but it should be revised if necessary, and it does not have to be revised if all the data and analysis would suggest that it is effective. And of course, this process should be documented, and that can include meeting minutes as well as emails, even internal notes to yourself. There's a lot of details to this standard. There's some important questions that you may be having, so I encourage you to take some time, go through this module very carefully, note any questions you have, take a look at the documents that support this, and let us know if you have any follow-up questions. Thank you.